Pier 21 during the Second World War essentially became a military site. It was taken over by the Department of National Defense early on in the Second World War. But that doesn't mean that immigration operations ceased. They were still there. Unfortunately, of course, as you can imagine, during wartime, immigration to Canada fell drastically from about 126,000 people annually before the Great Depression to under 13,000 a year on average during wartime. The majority of the 425,000 Canadian service personnel that served overseas during the Second World War made their way through Pier 21. So the experiences of many of the Canadian service personnel who embarked for the European campaign during the Second World War through Pier 21 are diverse. Some had family waiting for them to say goodbye. Other ones, unfortunately, didn't have any family. We find through the stories in our collection that their experiences are one of excitement, for example, getting out of Halifax or getting out of their small town across Canada for a big adventure in Europe. And for others, it's trepidation, it's nervousness, leaving their family and their lifestyle behind and not knowing if they're going to come back or not. So I'd like to read a passage of what was the experience like for Canadian servicemen departing for the European campaign during the Second World War here at Pier 21. Pier 21 was often the site of the last steps in Canada for people going to war. Regarding recruitment and accepting service overseas, Kenneth McLaren reflects on and nuances the familiar narrative of duty and service for country, with the place of peer relationships and pressure. I guess some of them had relatives in the army, as I did, and we were endeavoring to, as they say in England, we expect every man to do his duty. We were endeavoring to do which we thought was right for our country and our families, standing up for right, and I guess most of the soldiers had friends like I did. So approximately of the 48,000 marriages between Canadian servicemen overseas and what we know today as war brides, approximately 45,000 of them came to Canada. Interestingly enough, 97% of this movement came and landed at Canada through Pier 21. And they also brought with them approximately 21,000 children born to these war brides. So I'd like to do a reading of what it was like for Canadian service personnel in meeting their future wives overseas during their active duty in the Second World War. The ways Canadian military personnel met their future spouses were as varied as can be imagined. Iris Bartlett's future husband, Anthony Vincent Shortell, had the good fortune to crash his bicycle just where he might be picked up and dusted off by a pair of British nursing students. Paul Dumaine and his bicycle had a rather gentler introduction to his future wife. As a francophone Canadian, he had to struggle with English to ask to leave his bike in the yard of a house so that he could go to a movie. The daughter of the house, Joan Waller, came out, and Dumaine says of that moment, "I just looked at her and I couldn't see anymore." He gathered his courage and a few more bits of English to ask her to come to the cinema with him.